There I was, cozy in my New York apartment, wrapped in a blanket, the hum of the radiator and the distant city sounds making everything feel safe and familiar. The city outside was its usual mix of chaos and comfort, but inside, I was in my own little bubble. I was facing the most pressing decision of the night: Thai or Mexican takeout, pad Thai or tacos. The kind of dilemma that feels huge in the moment, but is really just a sign of how easy life can be. Life was easy, almost too easy. I started to feel restless, like I was missing out on something bigger. That's when the idea hit me. I needed an adventure, something to shake up the routine. Not just a new brunch spot or a weekend getaway. No, I wanted something wild. Arctic Canada in the dead of winter, where the sun barely rises and the cold is legendary. My friends called it a creative way to get hypothermia. They laughed, picturing me frozen solid. I called it destiny, a chance to prove I could handle anything, even the world's biggest freezer. I packed what I thought was winter gear, a thick hoodie, a couple of sweaters, and a suitcase full of optimism. I figured, how bad could it be? I'd survived New York winters after all. As the plane flew north, the world outside the window transformed. The green faded, replaced by endless white. Forests gave way to frozen rivers and snowfields that stretched to the horizon. The flight attendant grinned at me, her eyes twinkling. "You'll see the sight. It's white. Lots of it," she said, as if she'd seen this look of naive excitement before. I laughed, thinking she was exaggerating, but she wasn't joking, not even a little. The moment I stepped off the plane in Iqaluit, the cold hit me like a slap in the face. It was instant, shocking, and so much more intense than anything I'd ever felt. My breath froze in midair, my nostrils glued shut, and my eyelashes started to feel crunchy. I'd never known air could hurt. Locals strolled by in light jackets, chatting like it was a spring day. Meanwhile, I was already questioning my life choices. I could barely move my neck, bundled up so tightly I felt like a marshmallow with legs. Every step was a struggle. I stood there, a frozen statue of regret, my dreams of rugged adventure shattering with every icy gust. This was not the Instagram version of travel. This wasn't a vacation, it was a survival test. The wind howled, and I realized I was completely out of my element. Back home, we complain when it's below 50. We dig out scarves and whine about the wind chill. Here, the cold has a personality. A grumpy old man who hates everyone, and he's not shy about showing it. The landscape was beautiful, but in a don't touch me way. It dared you to come closer, but warned you to keep your distance. My phone died in 30 seconds. Even technology gave up. I tried to revive it with my hands, but the cold was relentless. I realized, for the next 48 hours, I was at the mercy of a place that had none to give. There was no negotiating with the Arctic. The Arctic doesn't care about your plans or your fancy jacket. It laughs at your brand names and your city confidence. It's pure, untouched, and utterly unforgiving. There's a kind of honesty in that, a rawness you can't find anywhere else. I thought I knew cold. I didn't, not even close. This was a different universe. The air felt like needles, sharp and unrelenting, stinging every bit of exposed skin. Every breath was a dare, a challenge to see if I could handle just one more. I tried to take a picture, but my phone just quit. The cold didn't care about my need for proof or memories. I was alone, facing the north with nothing but my stubbornness and a rapidly fading sense of adventure. This was no Instagram adventure. This was real. The kind of real that makes you question your sanity and your packing skills. And I was in way over my head. Welcome to the Arctic, where the only thing colder than the wind is the reality check waiting for you at the door. The cold here isn't just physical, it's existential. Minus 40 Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit, both scales agree, it's brutal. Every step outside was a risk. My ears felt ready to abandon ship. Dressing wasn't fashion, it was survival engineering. 5 layers minimum. I waddled everywhere, sweating just from getting dressed. Dangerous because sweat freezes. Breathing was a challenge. Without a scarf, it felt like inhaling fire and ice. My eyelashes frosted over. I looked like a failed Santa impersonator. My phone had already given up. It was smarter than me. Metal was the enemy. Touch a door handle, and it burns like fire. Cars groaned in protest. The air was thick, heavy, silent. The only sounds, crunching snow and chattering teeth. Nature was in charge. No negotiation. The Arctic doesn't care about your comfort or your plans. It just is. You respect it, or it'll remove you from the equation. Lesson learned. In America, comfort is a right. In the Arctic, it's a luxury. No Starbucks, no apps. I asked for a fancy latte. I got hot brown coffee. Fast food? Only if you catch a fish through the ice. Grocery shopping is an expedition. You buy what the last supply plane brought. A can of peaches feels like a treasure. Internet? Forget streaming. Sending an email is a win. At first I panicked without my phone. Then I started talking to real people. The Arctic strips away excess. You learn what's essential: warmth, food, community. Everything else is extra. I realized how much I depended on things people here live without. My craving for a fancy coffee seemed ridiculous. The Arctic runs on different rules. It's humbling. You adapt or you don't. I learned to appreciate the basics, and I learned to disconnect. Sometimes that's the real adventure. Simplicity is survival. My Arctic trip felt like a pop quiz for a class I never took. How Not to Die 101. Walking on snow is an art. I invented new dance moves just trying to stay upright. Indoors, the cold still seeps in. The heater became my best friend. Locals complained it was too warm. I wore 3 sweaters. Grocery prices were wild. A bottle of juice cost as much as a Broadway ticket. The freezer section had caribou and muktuk. I chickened out and bought overpriced mac and cheese. The darkness was relentless. The sun barely showed up. My internal clock was wrecked. I never knew if it was day or night. I wanted to hibernate like a bear. Routine was my only anchor. The Arctic tests you, physically and mentally. You adapt or you freeze. I finally understood why bears sleep all winter. It's not laziness, it's survival. In the Arctic, wildlife isn't background noise, it's a real threat. Polar bears aren't cute, they're apex predators. I was warned, don't wander alone. I never saw one, thankfully, but every shadow made me jump. Locals coexist with respect, and rifles. I did spot an Arctic fox, nearly invisible in the snow, and flocks of ptarmigans bursting out of nowhere. The sled dogs were everywhere, tough, working animals, unfazed by the cold. Their howls echoed through the night, ancient and wild. These dogs are essential for life here, a true partnership. In the Arctic, you're not at the top of the food chain. Survival is a team effort, with animals and people. Of all the things I experienced in the Arctic, the people surprised me most. Their warmth and openness stood out against the cold white landscape. The Canadian politeness you hear about is absolutely real, especially up here in the Arctic, where it feels amplified by the environment. Everyone greets you, everyone helps, and there's a genuine sense of looking out for one another that you feel immediately. Coming from New York, I'll admit, it's almost suspicious at first. You wonder, what's the catch? But there isn't one. I met Joe, an Inuk elder whose wisdom seemed to radiate from him. He told me, the land provides, the community provides. We share what we have because that's how we survive. We don't fight winter, we live with it. That attitude shapes everything here, from daily routines to how people treat each other. Their sense of community isn't just important, it's absolutely vital. It's the glue that holds everyone together through the long, dark winters. Neighbors help each other, no questions asked, whether it's shoveling snow or sharing supplies. I saw a snowmobile break down on a frozen road. Help arrived instantly, and no one even mentioned payment. Humility and generosity run deep here. The people are proud, but it's a quiet, understated pride, rooted in tradition and resilience. They have skills I can't even imagine, reading subtle weather signs, building igloos from snow, navigating the land with ease, but you'll never hear them brag. They were just as curious about my life as I was about theirs, eager to hear stories from far away. I tried to explain bottomless mimosas at brunch. They just smiled and laughed, probably thinking I was a little odd. It was a beautiful exchange of cultures, full of warmth and good humor. Here, survival depends on kindness, trust, and a willingness to help your neighbor, values that feel more important than ever. It's a lesson I wish we could bring back home, to our busy cities and hectic lives. The Arctic's harshness is matched only by the incredible warmth of its people, who make even the coldest days feel welcoming. I left with a new respect for both the land and the people who call it home. There are so many ways to live a good life. And up here it's about simplicity, connection, and gratitude. And sometimes the simplest ways, rooted in kindness and community, are truly the best. My idea of adventurous eating? A new taco truck? Maybe a spicy salsa, or a filling I can't quite pronounce? That's about as far as I usually go. Urban, safe, and always within reach of a napkin. Here it's raw, frozen caribou with soy sauce. The meat is sliced thin, still icy, and the flavor is wild, literally. It's a dish that's been part of Inuit life for generations. A true taste of the Arctic. I tried it, chewy, gamey, and nothing like home. My taste buds were in shock, but I was determined to keep an open mind. My host laughed and handed me more. Their warmth made the unfamiliar food feel a little less intimidating, and I realized sharing a meal here is about more than just eating. Next up, Arctic char, pan-fried pink, delicious. Finally something familiar. The fish was tender, rich, and reminded me of salmon back home, but with a flavor all its own. Then came muktuk, whale skin and blubber. It looked like nothing I'd ever seen on a dinner plate, and I hesitated, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. Joe, the elder, offered it, refusing would be rude. I chewed and chewed. The taste was unique. The texture, unforgettable. It was tough, a little salty, and unlike anything I'd ever eaten. I smiled, said thank you, and survived. My host seemed pleased, and I felt a small sense of accomplishment. Eating here is about tradition and respect, not just taste. Every bite is a connection to the people and the land. Every meal connects you to the land and its people. Food is a bridge, a way to share stories and survival. I learned to appreciate food as survival, not just comfort. Here, eating is about making the most of what the land provides, no matter how unfamiliar it seems. The Arctic diet is about what's available, not what's trendy. It's a lesson in resourcefulness, and in honoring what nature gives. It's a lesson in gratitude. Every meal is a reminder to appreciate what you have, and to respect the effort it takes to put food on the table here. I'll never look at mac and cheese the same way again. Suddenly, comfort food seems like a luxury, not a given. Here, food is history, culture, and necessity. Every dish tells a story, and every meal is a celebration of survival. I was honored to share in it, even if my taste buds were confused. The experience was humbling, and I felt welcomed in a way I hadn't expected. Sometimes the strangest meals make the best stories. The laughter and camaraderie around the table made every bite worth it. And I have plenty now. My notebook is full, and so is my heart. Would I eat muktuk again? Ask me next winter. Maybe by then I'll be ready for seconds. For now, I'll stick to tacos, but I'll eat them with a new sense of adventure and a lot more respect for what's on my plate. After 2 days of cold and confusion, the Arctic gave me a gift, the Northern Lights. Pictures don't compare. The sky glowed green, then danced with pink and purple ribbons. I stood outside, layered up, mesmerized. All discomfort melted away. I felt tiny, awed, and grateful. The silence was music. The beauty was overwhelming. For a moment, nothing else mattered. Not the cold, not the food, not the darkness. This was the magic people talk about. You have to earn it. That's what makes it precious. The Arctic is tough, but it rewards you with moments like this. It was nature's way of saying, look what I can do. Was it worth it? Absolutely. The Northern Lights were the apology, and the reward. I accepted with frozen tears and a full heart. My Arctic adventure ended. I survived, cold, wiser, and changed. I learned how dependent I am on comfort, and how tough I'm not. But I also learned about resilience, community, and the beauty of simplicity. Would I recommend it? Yes, but bring real gear, not just a hoodie. It's not for everyone. If you want a swim-up bar, look elsewhere. But if you want a real adventure, the Arctic is waiting. Would I go back? On the plane, I swore never again. But now, I miss the silence, the lights, the people. Ask me next winter, I might just say yes. The Arctic changed me, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be crazy enough to return. Until then, I'll remember the cold, the kindness, and the lights. And I'll be grateful for every warm, ordinary day.